So let your kid walk or bike to and from school, play outside by themselves, and stay at home alone at any age you want. Well, that's the law about to take place in Utah. The state just legalized free-range parenting. Is it a good idea? Here to debate, defense attorney David Bruno and former prosecutor Kisha Hebbon, both parents, by the way. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I'll start with you, Kisha. What are your initial thoughts on this?
I think it's not a good idea. It's a bad idea because you have some parents who are not going to use right judgment or have the correct discretion to say, you know what, my child's not mature enough, or they may want to have more free time for themselves and say, okay, let the children go run outside or walk to school. I don't want to have to drive them to school. So I don't think it's a good idea. I think there should be some parameters in place to say at a certain age your children should not be unsupervised.
David, do you agree with having the parameters?
Yeah, well, initially I was against it until I started reading about this. And it's actually a refreshing step back from these very inflexible and draconian laws that we have. We have too many laws, okay? But the fact of the matter is it's not any age. They still have to be mature enough to be able to take care of themselves. So it really puts the discretion back into the parents as opposed to the state to tell you at what age do you have to have supervision. You know, this was unanimous within both chambers of the Utah state government, signed by the governor, and believe it or not, there's social science behind this to support independence and growing of children.
But I guess you could argue, okay, so you say it's okay for, you know, parents to be the ones to decide versus the state being the one to decide how you're going to raise your children, but your parents, your kids rather, if they're school-aged, middle school-aged, say, and they're having friends over, and then other parents, do you have to then worry about the parenting at the home that your kid is going to? Like, there's a lot that's involved in that.
And not every parent is a good parent, and that's my concern. I deal with, in our state of New Jersey, it's called DCPMP, which is the Child Protection Services. You have a lot of cases of neglect where parents allow their children to be unsupervised, and so many bad things happen, whether they hurt themselves or they're sexually abused. So there's a lot of things that could happen. So I think, unfortunately, we can't put it on the parents to allow the parents to have the discretion, because not every parent's going to use the right judgment.
I posted this story on Twitter last night asking for people's responses, and I got a ton of responses, good and bad, on both sides of the issue. But a lot of people, David, I was really surprised. A lot of people said, this is how I grew up in the 60s and the 70s. Like, we're just reverting back to a time when we were kids. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I don't see much of a difference between saying that there's a certain age where a child has to be supervised versus a standard that they have to be mature enough to be able to take care of themselves. I mean, the fact of the matter is there are some very bad examples of parents that have been prosecuted and kids have been taken away for questionable things that maybe not it was deserved. Right. You know, so take the discretion out of the state, put it into the parents. Hopefully it works out.
Kisha, a lot of people, though, argue it is a different day. I mean, you look at what's going on in schools, you look at the shootings, you look at the conversations that we've been having across this country over the last couple months and years. So does that change the game?
It does. When I grew up, we walked to school and we did play outside. But the difference is there's more mental health issues going on. There's more sex offenders. Now, because of laws like Megan's Law, we see how many sexual predators are actually right in our neighborhoods. And then also, you know, it's just different. Even though we thought we were being unsupervised, there was also always that Mrs. Such and Such down the street who was on the porch watching, you know, and it was different. So nowadays, especially in the suburban areas, I know the houses in my development are so far apart, there's no one who would supervise my child if I say, okay, go outside and play. So it's different.
It is set to take effect on May 8th. We will see how this ends up playing out and see if other states decide to follow along. Thank you guys both for being here.
Thank you.
Rob?